What's up, guys? Talton Robertson back at it again. And today we are going to be going over why media sellers should always be using a database and a Bluetooth scanner. So let's go! Before I dive into why you need a database, I'd like to share a little story with you guys. And this is going to be a story about my first big library sale that I ever went to. So I ended up finding a sale on booksalefinder.com, which is a great resource to find library sales in your area or really anywhere in the US, depending on where you want to go. However, with that being said, this particular sale had advertised that they had over 100,000 books and they were all just 39 cents a piece, which is great for a bookseller like myself. Anytime I can get books that cheap and that much quantity, that just gives me an idea of how many books I could possibly source. And it wouldn't be to my surprise that I pulled out over 200 books for that one sale. Now, the story gets interesting because this was my first big sale, and I had Scoutly at the time, and it was just the live mode. So I had to scan the item, the barcode, and then what happens is Scoutly will send a signal. Your phone will send a signal up to a satellite, and it'll go to a server to retrieve the information. Then the server sends it back up to the satellite, which is redirected back to your phone to show you the results. And so anytime you're using a scouting app in live mode, this happens. This is the process of you retrieving the data. And it sounds like it's a lot going on, but it's really not. It's no different than sending and receiving text messages. It just takes a minute. And when you're scouting, especially at a library sale, speed is a huge opportunity to source more than your competitor. And typically, library sales, you will have multiple competitors there at the sale with you. So this particular sale, I got there super early. I was one of the first people there, and I had live mode and the Amazon seller app so that I could do cover scans. And anyways, I started scanning, and it was taking 2 to 3 seconds between each and every book that I scan. So not really, the most time efficient. However, I did make it work. But after I scanned about 300 to 400 books, I probably had a cart with like 3 or 4 books in it. It wasn't like, I was making a whole lot doing it just because of how slow using live mode is. But as I was scanning, a couple and their 2 kids had came into the sale and they started scanning, and believe it or not, they just blew me under the water at how fast they were pulling books. And it's not that, I couldn't have done the same. The difference was they had database mode, and it was, 4 of them compared to just me, myself, and I. So the odds were stacked against me as far as getting the most amount of profit for this adventure. However, it did teach me a very valuable lesson. Invest in yourself and your tools. And one of the tools that you really need to invest in is a good scouting app with a database. So they were scouting 4 times, 5 times, 6 times faster than I was, and it was 4 of them. So the results were multiplied by so many multiples that I can't even really explain how many books they got compared to me. I believe they had somewhere in the ballpark of 70 or 80 books in an hour of good, profitable scans. So I did not. I was scanning slow. I was still learning, and I've progressed since then. However, I don't want you to not deny the fact that a database will improve your scanning situation and increase the amount of books you pull per hour that you are actually scanning. So, what's the difference between a database and live mode? Essentially, when you have the database, you have all of the data downloaded onto your phone's hard drive. It doesn't have to send a signal to receive the data. The data is already on your phone. Therefore, you're able to make buying decisions much faster. typically you can scan 3 to 4 books in the time it takes to scan one book with live mode when you're using the database. So 4 scans database, 1 scan live mode. That's the choice you're really making when you're deciding whether you should get live or database. Now, I'm going to tell you, go ahead, spend that $40, get that database. Scoutly has database mode for like $40. If you want to go with Scout IQ, that's cool too. I believe they're like $45. So just a little bit more, but regardless of which one you choose, they're both going to do the same job. And you really need them to do the job so that you can scan faster so you can make more money. Now, with that being said, they also had Bluetooth scanners. So, a Bluetooth scanner will allow you to input the data much faster than your camera on your phone. And at the time, I did not have a Bluetooth scanner, and they did. So, you can see how fast they were getting good, profitable books compared to me. Their rates were dramatically over whatever my rate was. And because of that, I learned a very valuable lesson. And today I use database consistently every time I source. And I typically like to update my database at least once a week. It doesn't hurt to have an older database because it gives you another reference of time. But when it comes to sourcing, if you have a book that is profitable today and hasn't been profitable in like the last 6 months, that may be an opportunity for you because you have an updated database, but at the same time it may not be. Regardless, you definitely want to have a Bluetooth scanner. This is the particular one that I use on a regular basis. This is the Opticon 2006. It's a great scanner. I love how small this thing is. It almost looks like a car key, like a little key fob. But it scans. I don't want to blind you, but you can see it scans. And so this is what I use to scan my barcodes. And this allows me to scan so much faster because this laser on here will be able to pick up the barcode much quicker than your phone's camera ever could. So I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to scan a few books together, and we're going to see how fast I can scan with database mode with a Bluetooth scanner versus scanning live mode without a Bluetooth scanner. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. All right, guys, I've got my scouting app open here. It may be a little hard to see, but this is Scoutly. And so I'm gonna hit the scan button, and then we're going to put a little timer as far as how long it takes for me to scan every one of these items. So I've got a stopwatch here. We're going to use a stopwatch to measure the time it takes to scan all 10 of these books using Scoutly live mode. So I'm going to hit start, and I'm going to start scanning. 1 barcode. 2 barcodes. 3 barcodes. 4 barcodes. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. And the 10th result came up at 48 seconds. So it took me 48 seconds to scan 10 books using live mode and the camera. Now I'm going to repeat all of this, same books, everything, but we're going to use database and we are going to use the Bluetooth scanner. Now, by the way, all of these are duds. They're just books that I had laying around, so that's what I'm using for this example. But let's run it back and see what I can do with the Bluetooth. So I'm going to hook this up.
A few minutes later.
Got the Bluetooth connected. All right, guys. I've got the Bluetooth connected. I've got the phone in database mode. I'm going to start a timer on this other phone and see how long this takes. All right. Let's starting the timer now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom, baby. I got every single book scanned in 17 seconds. So 10 books in 17 seconds using database mode, and 10 books in 48 seconds using just your phone's camera in live mode. So let's extrapolate that out. So if we did 10 books in 17 seconds, it would take us 170 seconds to scan 100 books, right? We multiply it by 10. And 170 seconds is just shy of 3 minutes. So if you're able to scan 100 books in 3 minutes, think about how many books you can scan in an hour. Conversely, if we look at the data from the live mode, it took 48 seconds to scan those 10 books. So to scan 100 using live mode, it would take us 480 seconds, which, if I do the math, takes you 8 minutes to scan 100 books. So with that being said, if you extrapolate it out even further, you'll see how much quicker it is to use database mode using a Bluetooth scanner. So guys, if you want to go and you want to hit a library sale where you're going to have stiff competition, you need to have a Bluetooth scanner and database mode. That is without a doubt. So if you guys found this video helpful, be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, tap the bell. Stay tuned so you don't miss any of my content, because I'm planning on helping you guys grow your book business and give you the best tips and advice that I possibly can. So if you're ready for more, make sure that you don't miss another video. Until next time, keep hustling. Let's get to flipping.